Hello friends, namaste, welcome to my channel. Let's make it lovely. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and click on the bell icon for notifications. Today I'm going to share a traditional backdrop inspired from recent Kolam or Muggu decoration trend. I created this using cardstock papers and also a simple DIY carbon copy paper trick to help anyone with zero experience to draw a kolam. Now let's get started. I'm using yellow and red cardstock paper. I'm using a paper trimmer to cut my cardstock, but you can use regular ruler with an X-Acto knife or scissors. I'm cutting red cardstock to a square of 6 x 6 inches and yellow to 8.5 x 8.5 inches. I will share all the product details in the description box below. Coming to Kolam or Muggu design, I chose this design that I liked very much and I drew it on a 6 x 6 paper with guiding lines around to make sure it's exactly at the center. If you are a beginner and can't draw a kolam at all, then you can take a printout of kolam design you like from the internet. Next, to make carbon paper, I'm simply using regular white paper in same 6x6 size and I'm transferring as much graphite from the pencil as I can onto the paper. We would have all done this in our school days. Once done, place the red square first and carbon paper with graphite down on the red paper and then the kolam design on top of it. Now using a pencil, just trace along the kolam design, applying little bit of pressure than usual. This helps transfer the graphite onto the red paper. Trace all along the design and after making sure you finished tracing all over the design, remove the kolam and carbon papers. You can see the graphite is transferred onto the red cardstock paper along the traced design. It's not very clear in the video, but you can clearly see an impression in person when you do it. I'm trying to show the transferred design to you in close-up. Now you can draw along the transferred design with acrylic paint using a thin brush, or you can use paint pens. These paint pens usually come with instructions to shake well and push down before using to let the paint flow. Now on the traced design, I'm first marking the dots. Now using the transferred kolam design as guide, I'm drawing on it with paint pen. You can't really see the impression in the video with paper being far from camera, but as I showed you in close-up before, you can definitely see the design in person. I really like this design I chose and it's relatively easy even for beginners. You can reuse the same carbon copy paper as many times as you like. If any time the copy paper doesn't make an impression that's dark enough to see, then just add few more strokes of pencil and reuse as before. Using this carbon paper technique will also make sure all your columns are of same size and identical. I made 8 of these for my backdrop. Next, for yellow square, I used simple border kolam such that the border will be seen around the red square when the red square is placed in the middle. For this, you can use any color you like red or white. I chose white. For this, I just used a scale to mark all dots in straight line. I didn't measure distance between dots or anything. I'm just using the scale to keep my dots in straight line. On this 8.5 x 8.5 inches square, I could mark 15 dots on each side. For the top line of dots, I'm just marking alternate dots. It's hard to see pencil dots on video, but you will soon see what I'm doing in white paint. Because it's very easy design, I just drew the borders directly with paint pen. But if you are not sure, you can definitely use carbon copy paper technique for the borders too. I didn't mark dots with paint until finishing the entire kolam because sometimes depending on the design at corner, we might need to change the top row dots. So I just left them in pencil until I'm done. You can join the corners with a small oval like shown here, or you can leave it with a gap. Was definitely a relaxing activity to draw these easy column borders. Once I'm done with all the four sides, I went ahead and marked the dots with the paint pen. Now to stick the red square in the middle of the yellow one, I'm using Mod Podge. You can use regular white glue too. Just make sure you add a smooth coat of glue to avoid any wrinkles on cardstock as it dries. Using a foam brush, I'm spreading the glue all over the paper evenly. I'm applying a gentle pressure to let them stick together, and I'm using a book to weigh it down as it dries to avoid wrinkles. Now this next step is optional. If you have any glossy Mod Podge, you can add a thin top coat on the cardstock paper to make it act as a varnish. This step is optional but gives that glossy wood kind of look if you prefer. After applying the thin even coat of Mod Podge, just leave it to dry completely. It will dry clear. Here is how it looks after drying. Look how glossy the left one looks compared to the one without Mod Podge on the right. Next, coming to this wooden frame, I made this using pre-cut wooden sticks I bought online and a glue gun. You can refer to my previous video of housewarming Pooja Decoration for detailed explanation of making this frame. I will leave the link in the description box below. Next, I am using these white flower garlands I have. I'm wrapping this regular thread around my fingers multiple times and cutting them together to make multiple pieces of thread at a time. Now I'm attaching the thread to one end of the garland and tying it to the frame. Fill it in entire square by tying the garland with thread at top and bottom edges of the square. After finishing the square, cut off any excess threads hanging. Continue doing this in alternate squares. If in any of the squares, if you find garland hanging little bit extra, you can stick it back into the square using little bit of tape. Like this, fill alternate squares with flower garlands. Next, using some heavy duty tape, I'm sticking the Kolam papers in remaining squares. Because cardstock papers I used are 8.5 inches wide, they might leave little gaps in few squares, but they are not noticeable in the end. But you can use bigger cardstock papers and cut them to fit squares exactly if you prefer. I'm sticking all the 8 column designs I made in the remaining squares. After finishing, I turned the frame around and felt like my white garlands had lots of gaps and it didn't look that full. So I added white paper squares behind the white garlands. This made the white flowers look fuller. These are just regular printer paper that I cut into 8.5 into 8.5 inches and I'm using regular tape to stick them. Coming to the backdrop, I used maroon satin cloth. I hung it on a rope that's attached to the wall with push pins. If you can't add pushpins or nails to your wall, then check my video on how to make simple backdrop stand without drilling holes. I will leave the link in the description box below. Next, I covered a cardboard box with my plain yellow saree and placed the wooden frame on top of it. And I added yellow garlands and green toran. That's it, our backdrop is ready. It is perfect for any Vratam or Puja at home. And the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about Sankranthi is Muggu or Kolam. So I think this is a perfect backdrop for your little kids' Bhogi Pallu celebrations on coming up Sankranthi. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and share.